There have been many disturbing scenes in Outlander, but one of the earliest and most disturbing was when Black Jack Randall cruelly tortured Jamie Fraser. And even though they played enemies on Outlander as Jamie and Randall, Sam Heughan and Tobias Menzies are actually good friends in real life. In fact, so close is the friendship that Heughan has expressed interest in seeing his season 1 nemesis reprise his role. But who is Black Jack Randall in Outlander? Black Jack, or Jonathan Randall, was a minor English knight during the 1745 Jacobite uprising. He helped put down the revolt with the Duke of Sandringham's financial backing. Randall had a son in 1756 named Dennis with his bride Mary Hawkins. His grandfather was given a baronetcy and a knighthood by King George I in the late 17th century. Edward Randall, his older brother, took over the family fortune in Sussex, while Alexander, the younger, went into the ministry. In 1735, Randall paid for a commission and became a dragoon captain. He succeeded Captain Buncombe as commander of Fort William's garrison in late 1739. In October 1740, Randall and his men were en route to Fort William from Lollybrock to collect a levy from local farmers in order to purchase food and supplies for the garrison. But they were met with resistance from the locals. This is just one of the many adventures that Black Jack has been on. So why does Sam Heughan want him back on the show? To begin with, Outlander presented a highly dramatic tale in its first season. Claire and Jamie are introduced to viewers in season 1. As luck would have it, Claire's first husband, Frank, is descended from Black Jack Randall, the leader of a band of Highlanders on the run from the British Redcoats. At first, the rebels are quite skeptical of Claire, suspecting that she is a spy, but they keep her around because of her medical expertise and insight into the Jacobite cause. Claire marries the noble warrior Jamie Fraser out of convenience, but the two soon realize they are deeply in love with one another. Throughout the season, Jamie and his clansmen successfully evade Randall's pursuits, but in the end, the cruel Redcoat captures and imprisons Jamie. In the opening scene of the tragic season finale, Claire and Murdaugh rescue a bloodied and battered Jamie from a prison cell. Jamie has lost all desire to live, so he is taken back to the monastery where he was cared for before. He describes the agony he endured at Randall's hands through a sequence of flashbacks. The memories show how Randall's mistreatment of Jamie sapped his will to live, both physically and emotionally. Randall was a persistent source of frustration for Jamie throughout the first season. Menzies, who played both Frank, Claire's first husband in the 20th century, and Black Jack Randall, his ancestor, left the program after Frank's fictional death. Frank's death was revealed to viewers in the third season of the show, when it was revealed that he had been killed in a vehicle crash. Randall, who was one of his ancestors, was killed by Jamie at the Battle of Culloden. But despite much speculation, Menzies did not return for season 5. Heughan, on the other hand, has expressed interest in having Menzies back. The bloodshot actor, Tobias Menzies, regrets that he and the Outlander star, Sam Heughan, didn't share more screen time together. You know, Tobias was so much fun to work with, and I really appreciated the scenes we were able to film together, Heughan said of the experience at the New York Comic-Con. The actor who played Jamie gushed over his former co-star, calling him brilliant and expressing a desire to see him return in some capacity. Season 7 of Outlander is also slated to continue the story from season 6, which might be another reason why Heughan wants Black Jack back. During the 6th season, Claire was detained on charges of murdering Malva Christie and practicing witchcraft. Jamie has two major concerns as the Revolutionary War approaches.
No, you're not much of a cook.
Thank you very much.
Remind me of some virtues. Perhaps I missed one.
Well, there is.
The first is to find Claire, and the second is to keep her from being executed for her claimed misdeeds. Since this is a continuation of Diana Gabaldon's 6th novel, A Breath of Snow and Ashes, it's possible that the show might wrap up this arc quickly and move on to Book 7, An Echo in the Bone. The start of the 7th season is scheduled for the middle of 2023, and it will have 16 episodes.
And this was a young man, 18, 19, who appeared in his kilt. And I said, well, that's kind of fetching. And I found myself still thinking about this the next day in church. And I said to myself, well, you know, it doesn't really matter where you set this. The important thing is you'll pick a point and get started. I said, fine, Scotland, 18th century.
Netflix has streaming access to the first 5 seasons of Outlander, but season 6 is exclusive to Starz. Did you know that Sam Heughan once had an encounter with a Game of Thrones star that sent him running for the nearest exit? For a long time, Sam Heughan was just another struggling actor before he landed the role of Jamie Fraser on Outlander.
actor, you know, quite green, not really much experience. And there were a lot of pressures, certainly starting off in the industry, that I didn't really understand, you know, and I think there was a certain body type that we were expected to have. I think women talk about it a lot of...
Heughan went on several auditions after graduating from the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland in 2007, and eventually landing small roles in television series and low-budget films. Interestingly, he attended the same theater school with the particular Game of Thrones star in question. Heughan said the Game of Thrones actor Richard Madden blanked him at an event he was working at as a waiter before he found fame on Outlander. In an interview for the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Heughan said that he had been labeled a bad actor upon his arrival at the school, and it wasn't until his second year of college that he began to consider the prospect of making a living as an actor. He mentioned to Square Mile that it was in that year that he portrayed Romeo in a play.
Yeah.
And then, so I got to the top of the Empire State Building, right?
Wow, so
Getting it right.
You had 50 bucks. You go, I'm going to go.
Nothing left.
No,
And I thought, I'm
take
going
a
to
cab, go do it.
go check it out. I got to the top. I saw Val Kilmer up there.
Heughan recalled, "I remember one day in rehearsal, before we went on stage, I realized, oh, I can do this." Heughan's tenure at the Royal Conservatoire was not without its rewards. He was nominated for a Laurence Olivier Award for Most Promising Performance for his role in Outlying Islands by Scottish writer David Grieg. Heughan mentions his experience at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland alongside Game of Thrones actor Richard Madden in his new memoir, Waypoints, My Scottish Adventure. During their time there, the two future celebrities crossed paths on multiple occasions and shared several mutual friends. After graduation, Madden and Heughan bumped into each other at a London event held by the V&A Museum, but Madden completely forgot who he was. Madden's career was taking off after he landed the role of Robb Stark on Game of Thrones, and at that time, Heughan hadn't made it big yet. In fact, he was serving drinks at the party. When chatting with a coworker, Heughan recalled, "I'd been tasked with holding a tray of the guest drinks. That's when Richard Madden came over and set his gin and tonic on the tray." Heughan claimed that he had trouble extending his greeting to an old classmate. The Game of Thrones actor didn't recognize Heughan, despite the fact that they had met several times, and that his ex-girlfriend had lived in Madden's apartment in Glasgow. Heughan then headed for the closest exit after a short while because he was ashamed and embarrassed with his waiter job. Nonetheless, Sam Heughan doesn't hold the snub against Richard Madden. Heughan said that it wasn't Richard's fault for failing to recognize him. The Outlander star went on to call Madden the loveliest fellow and say that the two of them have since reconnected. But it hurt that he was my peer and I wanted to be on the other side of the serving tray. As Heughan put it, "I just held onto the tray, knuckles white, and prayed the ground would open up and swallow me up." Heughan claims that this humiliating encounter with Madden has only strengthened his commitment to continue his acting profession, and the rewards for such tenacity were not long in coming.